Good morning, students. In the previous class, we have learnt about the leaves. Today, we are going to learn about another important part of the plant, that is, the flowers, which is the most beautiful and attractive part of the plant. The flower develops from a floral bud present on the stem. A flower is the reproductive part of a plant. It consists of three main parts: the flower stalk or pedicel, the thalamus or receptacle, and the floral parts. A flower may or may not be attached to the stem by means of a long stalk called the pedicel. The pedicel is swollen at its tip and is slightly flattened and is called the receptacle or the thalamus. The thalamus bears the parts of the flower in four circles called holes. The holes are the calyx, the corolla, the androecium, and the gynoecium. The calyx and corolla are also collectively called as the accessory or the vegetative parts of the flower. The first hole, that is the calyx, is formed by the sepals. It is the outermost hole and consists of green leaf-like structure called sepals. They enclose and protect the young flowers at their bud stage. The second hole or the corolla is formed by the petals, which are brightly colored, striped or spotted and scented. The petals surround and protect the reproductive parts of a flower. The function of the brightly colored corolla is to attract butterflies, bees, and other insects that help in pollination. They also attract birds and us with their sweet smell and attractive looks. The third hole is the androecium, which is formed by the stamens. It is the male reproductive organ of a flower. Each stamen is made up of a long, elongated and thread-like filament, a swollen bilobed structure called anther present on the filament. The anthers produce powdery structures called pollen grains, which contain the male gametes. The fourth hole, that is the gynoecium or the pistil, is the innermost hole of a flower. It contains one or more female reproductive units called carpels. The carpel has three main parts: ovary, style, and stigma. The swollen base of the carpel is called ovary. A stalk-like structure called style extends from the ovary. A small round structure called stigma is at the top of the style. Ovary bears ovules. Each ovule contains a female gamete called egg. The inner two holes of the flower, the androecium and the gynoecium, are the essential and the reproductive parts of a flower. Based on the presence or absence of holes, flowers can be categorized into two types: the complete flower and the incomplete flowers. Most of the flowers have all the floral holes and are called complete flowers. A few common examples are mustard, China rose, and petunia. The flowers which lack one or more floral holes are called incomplete flowers. Examples may be cited of amaranthus and sunflower. Based on the presence and absence of male or female reproductive parts, flowers are again classified into two types. Bisexual flowers are those which possess both the male part, androecium, and the female part, or gynoecium. They are also called hermaphrodite flowers. Rose and hibiscus are the examples of bisexual flowers. Unisexual flowers are which possess either male part, that is the androecium, or the female part, or gynoecium. Papaya is an example of unisexual flower.
The main parts of flowers are pedicel and thalamus, calyx or sepals, corolla or petals, androecium or stamens, gynoecium or pistils. Pedicel and thalamus. The flower is borne on a stalk called pedicel. The uppermost end of the pedicel is swollen. This swollen part of the pedicel is known as the thalamus or receptacle. It bears all the four whorls of a flower. Calyx or sepals. The outermost whorl of a flower is calyx. It consists of leaf-like structures called sepals. Sepals are usually green in color. Calyx also protects the flower during the bud stage. Corolla or petals. Corolla is the second whorl of a flower. Each segment of the corolla is known as petal. Petals are usually brightly colored due to the presence of pigments. The bright color, sweet smell and nectar attract the insects. Androecium or stamens. It is the third floral whorl which is composed of one or more male reproductive organs called stamens. Each stamen consists of a thin stalk called filament and two lobed head called anther. The anther and filament are connected by a connective tissue. Each anther lobe has two pollen sacs which are filled with pollen grains. Pollen grains are minute in size and take part in reproduction. Gynoecium or pistils. Gynoecium is the fourth whorl of a flower which is composed of one or more female reproductive organs called carpel. Each carpel consists of an ovary, style and stigma. The stigma is the terminal part of the pistil. It is sticky, rough and hairy. Stigma is meant for receiving pollen grains during pollination. The style is the thread-like structure which connects the stigma with the ovary. It is meant for raising the level of the stigma. The basal, swollen part of the pistil is called ovary. The ovary bears ovules on a swollen tissue called placenta. Each ovary contains a female reproductive cell or egg.